quiet.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock for me. I'd like to call the Thursday, June 13th, 2024 meeting of the Newburyport Historical Commission to order. Please be aware that this proceeding, like all city hybrid meetings, is being recorded. I'm going to do a roll call. We have a few of our commissioners are on the line, so I'll go through everybody here. They might not be here or not. Glenn Richards.
Yep, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. Good Mouse, that's me, yes. Christopher Fay. Not.
I think that Chris has voted, replied that neither.
Exactly.
There's no Chris meeting.
Okay. Mark Sendro. Andrew Bernhardt.
Here.
Chris Tell, he's absent. Ed Norman.
Here.
Alan Markey.
Here.
Excellent, thank you. All right, here's, we have a quorum also present, Caitlin Sullivan and Gretchen Joy taking minutes. Our first item is a DCOD advisory review of 286 Merrimack Street. Please hold your presentation first.
Sure, thank you very much. For the record, Lisa Mead, Tom and Costa, 30 Green Street in Newburyport, on behalf of JSJO Realty LLC, which is Joel Willett here. And Eileen Brack is the architect on the project. You can go to the next page. Thank you. So Joel and his team proposed to remove a portion of several additions on the rear of the structure and replace them, as we're going to show you on the plans. The home is currently a two-family, it will continue to be a two-family home. We're here for the DCOD review, as the chair indicated. We're looking for the commission to give a report to the ZBA relative to the significance of the structure and relative importance of the structure and its surroundings. The property is located in the waterfront marine dependent zoning district and the DCOD district. We're here because the proposal is to remove 33% of the exterior walls in accordance with the DCOD calculations or to infill. That sounds like a lot, when the requirement is 25%. However, of that 33%, 21% is from the additions on the back that we're proposing to remove. So 12% would be to the original box of the house. And those additions, as we're going to show you in a little bit, are precarious, not built well, and certainly not adding to the attractiveness of the structure. So the property, you go to the next, please. So the property is listed on the district data sheets. I apologize for any confusion in our original cover memo. It is listed on the district data sheets. That's why we're here. As contributory, being constructed around 1870, according to the assessment records around 1874. It first appeared on the Sanborn map, which we're going to look at in a minute, in 1888. This property was owned by the Whitmore family for over 150 years. According to the title search, the property was conveyed to Joanna, spelled Johanna in some instances, Whitmore in 1876, and remained in their family until Joel purchased it this year. The structure was used as a two-family predating zoning in the city in 1934. By the way, zoning came into effect in the city in 1940. 1934, and Whitmore devised the northerly structure of her niece and the southerly half to her brother. And then in the event her sister predeceased her, it went to the brother William. So it's continued to be a two-family ever since 1934. If you go to the next slide, please. So here's the mind map. So you know where the North End Boat Club is, that you know where this property is as you're traveling west on Merrimack Street and you get to the street that's called Mason Avenue, which goes down to the North End Boat Club. It's right at the corner of Mason and Merrimack at the bottom of Oakland Street. Next slide, please. And this is the 1888 Sanborn map, and you can see over these next slides, you're going to see the kind of the rear addition changes shape in various maps. So you'll see the house at the bottom circled. It's got kind of two additions on the back. Next slide, please. In the 1894 Sanborn map, you can see at the bottom, it's circled, and now the two additions, so there's still the kind of the shed roof, single story addition, but it's got like one doghouse. Or one doghouse addition in the back. Next slide, please. 1900, we're back to having two entrances in that one story addition. Slide. And of 1906, it looks pretty much like it did in the prior Sanborn. Next slide, please. In 1914, it still continues to be the same. Next slide. And this is the 1924 Sessions map. It's back to one on the bottom. So I think these, and you know, we'll explain this, the Lisa O'Donnell, the engineer, structural engineer, will kind of explain in her notes. These clearly were added haphazardly. You can tell by the construction of the photos. So whether it shifted back and forth, or people took them off and added new ones, it's clear there's been changes throughout the years on those back additions. Next slide, please. And here's our site plan. And so what you can tell, can you blow that up a little bit, Caitlin? So the peach is our proposed addition. The existing one-story addition off the back, you can see the larger rectangle that goes across the back and wraps around the corner. We propose to remove that. And then you can see that what we refer to as kind of the doghouse additions are on the back that we propose to remove as well. Next slide, please. And so here are photographs. This is the photograph of the house from Merrimack Street. I think importantly, that, you know, we're not going to do anything to this elevation except we're going to remove the vinyl cladding, remove the metal that wraps all of the trim, and restore all of that. And Eileen will go over that in greater detail. Many of you were on the commission when Joel was in here for the approval for his Washington Street project, which was similarly clad with all that stuff covered. If you've been by the Washington Street project, you see how nice it looks because the details have all come back out again. So a similar restoration is proposed for the main box of this house. Next slide, please. And here's the side view of the house, and then you can see that one-story shed roof addition kind of thing that's happening on the back. We propose to remove. Next slide. And here is the rear, so then you can see those two, right? It's Andrew's understanding the issue here. And so those are proposed to be removed. Next slide, please. And just here's another view of it, a little bit closer from the opposite side, the westerly side. And then here's a view of the front. Next slide, please. So as I said, and what we proposed in our application, that Lisa O'Donnell, the structural engineer, has looked at this. She has determined the three additions to the rear of the structure in fourth addition. Foundation, the larger addition that runs the length and the width of the structure has loose bricks and is missing mortar. The framing of the larger addition was poorly built and is in poor condition with the frame walls sitting very close to the grade. And I'll show you some of that. The footing of this addition is insufficient. Rafters are not sufficient for a roof with snow drift loads. The existing joists are likely insufficient for current code requirements and sit over an unconditioned and inaccessible area over the bare ground. She further provides that, and I quote, overall, this addition presents too many deficient conditions that would be difficult to remedy and bring to current code standards to make any portion of this addition reasonably salvageable. The work to correct the deficiencies would include replacing and or supplementing all of the framing and either underpinning or replacing the foundation. In conclusion, the work to salvage and restore this portion of the building would need to essentially replace, supplement all of the components, as well as address the area under the floor to ensure damp-proof and pest-free floor. All of the work is more extensive, fussy, and time-consuming than simply replacing this portion. And even with replacements, the quality would likely not be what you could achieve with new construction, including a proper foundation, crawl space, and properly framed doors and walls. So If you would go to the next slide. So as I said, it's too close to the grade, it's failing and it has insufficient, structure. And actually the footings, are that of 16 inches deep. And code compliant is 48 inch below grade, and so they're not, they're not even close to being compliant. And some footings are actually cement blocks, which we're gonna show you in a minute. Next slide, please. So here's just to show how close it is to the grade, but there's one of our cement blocks holding up that corner of the addition. Next slide. And this is just a cutaway to show that some of this is new construction anyway. Eileen, do you have anything to add to this particular slide?
Our audio here.
Obviously, it's patchwork. The beam along the bottom has got some kind of insulation or caulking in it. Next slide, please. And this is a cutway into the sidewall. Anything on that?
And nothing other than it's pretty thin in frame, I imagine too, so really just trying to bring that up to meet code as well would be part of the.
Next slide, please. And that's just a further, to show the construction of the building itself. Next slide, please. And the insufficient construction of the walls and as I said, the insufficient, lumber sizes. Next slide, please. And again, into the roof, and you can see how it was like kind of.
When was this built, the additions?
Well, so we don't know exactly. It's old, it's certainly old, 'cause it shows up on some of the 1900 plans, that addition. But the dog houses attached to it have changed over time. And even the addition appears to have been, and you can see that from one of the, even the existing additions, how that shed dormer, it's at an angle and then it's got the house that kind of wraps around the edge. So it's kind of patched on.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. So, the proposal, as I indicated, is to improve the current form of the structure. And to remove all vinyl cladding, the siding, corner boards, shutters, remove the original detail, restore the original detail, corner boards, expose the even fashion details, improve the awkward shed additions, the south elevation, install period appropriate window styles, cedar clapboards, and artificial roof shingles. And detail it in to restore the original structure to complement the adjacent period houses. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eileen to describe the work that we propose.
Thank you, Lisa. So actually, this is to expand on the addition and starting to give hints to where we're headed with this proposal and proposed design. But if I could just sort of pass over that one and go to the next slide, please, just to compare existing with proposed. So I think I'll start by talking about the changes as it relates to change in mass and form, and then I'll go back and talk about the changes in materials. So with starting at the top left is the top two pictures are existing and the bottom two proposed. If we start with the front elevation, you can see that on the bottom left drawing, you can see our addition. We have a two-story addition that's being proposed where you saw that sort of awkwardly shaped shed roof, one story wrapping the corner. That is the location which we're replacing with the two-story. The bottom right shows it as a side profile. This is the elevation that faces downtown. And what we're showing here is that we are proposing to come in with the two-story with a shallower pitch. What's important to note is that we still are trying to maintain that sort of subordinate position that it has in plan by keeping it to the back of the original structure. So if you were to compare the front elevation to the historic structure to the two-story addition that's proposed, for about 22 feet back. from that building, from the front facade. So with that, trying to control and be respectful of the historic structure by really sort of bringing down the scale in both form and in location. Behind that, there's a one-story addition that you're seeing. It's got the sort of sunroom sort of panel below it. And that's closer to what I'd say is the title block there. That runs the whole length, and I'll point that out when we get around the building. But the main thing I wanted to show on this side was that this is sort of what I'd say is this sort of, I'll call it the bookend. As this building sort of turns the corner with Merrimack and with Mason, it just feels like it's a way to sort of hold all that back corner in. So if we then go to the next slide, we can follow this, these additions to the back. What I'm going to do is to go to directly to the opposite side. So say the Cambridge side of the building. What I want to point out is on the top right drawing, you can see that original sloped single shed roof structure. And that's the area that we originally intended to just build upon it with the second story. But as we looked into it, that was when we determined that it was just not structurally sufficient to take on the second floor. So if we move down to the drawing underneath it, that is the second story right above that form I was just talking about, but of course, with the proper foundation. And so there's that 2-story with a flat roof, and then behind it, that sort of sunroom approach on the back side, just 1 story in that location towards the river. And then if we turn for the back elevation, you can now see how what's now the left side, because we're on the rear, that 2-story structure sort of holds that corner. Behind it, on that middle level, the second level, we have the roof of the sunroom area, and that's a small balcony area, kind of tucked behind there, partly screened because the length of the 2-story addition on the corner is deeper than the rest. And then if you look to the 3rd floor, what we are adding is a 3rd floor Nantucket dormer. And the advantage to this dormer, or why we propose it, is that we have the benefit of seeing from the gable ends more of a doghouse dormer. It's not till you wrap around to the back that you see that there's a shed between the 2 doghouse bookends.
That goes on the original structure,
Correct, yes.
and the original structure can handle that.
Original structure,
Thank you for supporting.
it's actually quite, yes, there's been some demo work already happening.
Right.
And that Joel has found it's quite solid
Okay.
and rather surprisingly, but it's, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll interrupt also.
Sure.
The 2 chimneys are also taken down.
So the 2 chimneys, there's 4 total. So the 2 long ones that you're seeing on the top left drawing, those are the ones that are and they're in that back plane where that building runs.
The chimney goes away. On the. There's an infrastructure. Something feeding into the chimney.
Right, the inside comes away too.
of all things.
Yes. But the 2 that are,
Are those chimneys to fireplaces, or are they to some other kind of?
On the 2 that are going away, no, not fire.
What are they used for?
They were venting at some point and buried in the walls. You don't even see them.
They're buried there.
Yeah.
In the past, they had some venting into them. There's nothing into them now. They're smaller. One had been replaced with newer work.
So they have no use.
30, 40 years. Yeah, there's no use at all. There are 2 different types of work.
and then the 2 on the ridge stick.
And their function. To the remaining of the function.
They're not,
They're not functional. No, all the heating had upgraded in that home 10 to 15 years ago to power venting.
How old is that brick that's coming out from the chimney that 50 years old?
No, the 2 back,
the 2 back ones, not that not original.
Yeah, the back ones are newer brick, they replaced or. They're not original.
Okay.
The two center ones.
So as far as additions and changes in form, that sort of summarizes goals with the addition. And again, to repeat, where we wanted to put these additions is pretty much where they exist today. These, so we just are trying to condense them and keep them on the backside, trying to maintain the front, the primary facades, which is the front and two sides, and preserve its form, preserve its openings, its original openings, and not really change anything other than there's one door that we're moving, which you can see on the right top drawing. I would assume is when the aunt split it for the niece and nephew, I assume when they created the second one, they put that door in. So again, suggesting that it's not original. I like this original historic structure, as Lisa mentioned, removing all vinyl, all metals, etc. Hopefully to discover some salvageable clapboards underneath. At least that's what Joel found on these properties on Washington, and we're hoping for the same. Hopefully there's wood clapboards to underneath that we could restore corner boards as well. The windows would be 2/2 insulated windows. We'd like to come back with wood shutters to replace the vinyl ones that are there. Architectural shingles at the roof. There are, I'm guessing, some panels underneath that bay window that we're going to assume will bring something back there. And then as far as how that's the addition relates to it, we're gonna use materials in kind just to complement the historic structure and not introduce anything that is inappropriate historic. I think if there's any other significant material changes, but really just trying to highlight the main three facades and keep all the additions sort of towards the rear. And with that, I think that our proposals, the main house, smaller additions on the back, dormers, we feel that it's complementary to what's in the neighborhood. There's that type of evolution of these forms is very prevalent in our city. So I feel like this will help and the nature of that block, that immediate block of our city, and complement the adjacent structures, historic structures.
And so why don't we go see what those look like? So you can go down. Yeah, so again, just to orient you, here's the mind maps. Next slide, please. So this is looking east on Merrimack Street, so across the Mason Way to the house next door. Next slide, please. And this is just looking to the rear, so you can see what's behind us. There is a small branch that's behind this, but it's not in this photo, it's directly behind it. Next slide, please. But here we go. This is down at the corner of Oakland. This is across the street, the corner of Oakland and Merrimack. And you see this house right directly across 251 was redone a few years ago. That's a 6C. There's another house on that lot directly behind it that was constructed when this house was renovated. Next slide, please. And this is on 253 Merrimack Street, further down. And see the dormers over added there. Again, 251 and 253. So this would be to the east on the opposite side. Excuse me, to the west on the opposite side. Next, please. And 288 Merrimack. This is to the west of the property.
Just from my recollection, if I'm correct, the driveway is to the right of the house, face of the house. Right?
That's correct,
Yep.
actually.
Yeah, that stays.
Well, we're proposing to actually minimize it. So it provides the parking for both units right now.
Right.
We'd like to actually separate it. We're proposing a single lane drive or curb cut to the left of the building and then take the existing curb cut and narrow it up. And pulling it away from them.
It's kind of a no man's land, like everybody's just very wide and kind of people just park things all over the place in there, so I'm trying to control that and push it together.
When, and no garage.
No garage, but actually you bring up a good point. We are, actually, Lucy did mention, we are removing the shed that's there. Which I think will only help, so, you know, it's not historic, so I think it will help declutter this corner.
Next slide. So with that, happy to answer any questions. We'd like you to make a report that, you know, while the, house it is significant, the changes, help retain that significance. And then obviously it does have relative importance to the neighborhood and nothing that's being proposed would, impact that negatively.
Great, thank you. Guess I'll open up to our commissioners to see anyone has any comments, either here or online.
I'm a little confused about the two-family, situation. And currently, what is the access for the two units within the building? Yes,
I'm
currently.
gonna go to the existing plans, existing elevation.
Thank you, Caitlin. So there is that primary door, the center door, and that actually
The Zoom meeting audio seems to cut out, like just right now. I don't know if you can hear me, but
Two-family access to the structure.
so similarly, we're still gonna have access to both units primary from that front door. So internal,
did it again. Can, Caitlin, can you hear me? Because the audio keeps cutting out. Especially it seems when Eileen is the unlucky one. Her audio when she's speaking will just disappear to nothing.
there it is. So in the top right drawing, that's a secondary door to the left unit. And we would just, as you see on the bottom right, just slide that door down. So that's,
So to Mark's questions, you know, beneficiary from a usability perspective. Proposal is both units equally or one unit.
That was my, yes.
I'm just curious.
You mean the size of the units?
Well, usability, you know, when you make this change.
Yeah.
You make the proposed change, the usability of it, is it equal between the two units? Or is it favor one unit? Or the other?
our goal was to make them as close to equal as possible. It's a little bit. Yeah,
But generally
it's a hair
speaking,
bigger, right?
yeah,
Just because
generally
it's
speaking,
smaller.
it's equal.
Yeah. Providing them each with the same benefits, driveways, outdoor space.
And then the unit, the proposed secondary. Door for the second unit, if you go back up to the first A1, right?
Correct. So what you can see this, that odd shed roof addition on the back, original. On the short face that faces Merrimack actually has a door, but you can't see it in the front elevation because the bay is blocking it. But there's a door over there, and that's one more, that's the secondary entrance to the right unit. But then they all have another one in those little nubs on the back. So they each have three doors.
Any other comments? Any commissioners online?
Yeah, Biff, this is Glenn. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, one thing, I don't know if you heard my other comments earlier, that at some points, strangely, the audio just completely disappeared and then would come back in, maybe several seconds later. I didn't miss much, but you know, that was kind of annoying. One question I had was, is the place occupied at the moment or not?
No,
Okay, because for the purpose of writing the report, would there be any objection if myself or Biff or anyone just wanted to take a look around the exterior?
Oh, around the exterior?
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it might not be necessary, but in case you wanted to take a look. Uh, Other than that, I guess that's it for any questions I had. Thanks. See, the audio just disappeared again. What's going on?
Hey Glenn, text one of us if you're there, we can't hear you.
Okay, yeah, it came back on. It's very strange. I've never haven't had this happen with Zoom before. It'll just totally cut out and then it'll come back some seconds later.
Did you have anything else to add, Glenn?
No, other than that, I'm appreciative of the desire and the plan to restore some of the unfortunate changes that have been made as far as, you know, vinyl siding and not very nice windows and that sort of thing. It's always nice to see.
I have another question regarding the rear.
You cut out a little bit there, but I think we got most of it.
But we, a little more detail on the, way the extension on the back is going to be, decorated. I see these sort of rectangles below the windows. If we could see the back elevation, what do you propose in terms of, materials and decoration on that ground floor? Below the windows?
yes, so the idea there was taking, sort of similar to say, the traditional bay that has panels below, and we have that wrapping around the small section of this, say, 10-foot addition of the one story that we're looking at. Yeah, the goal was to make that, and granted, it's longer than a traditional sunroom than you would expect to see. But as an effort and a way to sort of distinguish between, say, the main sort of bulk and body of the architecture of the main form is to have this area all be paneled. And so it really, you know, in our point of view, there's no site, there's no shingle or clapboard there. This is all trim work with nice detail paneling system below.
This would be,
Not plastic, not metal, so I say. Sometimes, when you get closer to the ground, it might be more appropriate to use something like a. There's, like a corral, but I was actually thinking of this one right now, and I'm drawing. Acre, thank you,
The panels will be in the,
and in the middle.
just take paint.
Okay, any other comments? Questions? I guess, you know, a motion to approve, I guess will be me, writing this up. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve. Second plan.
I'll second the motion.
All right, well, we'll go around and see if we can, everybody can hear us, voting on, approving the writing up, the approval of the recommendation of the DCOD. We'll start with, Glenn. Glenn, can you hear us? Your vote?
Yep, I can hear you, and yeah, I'm a yes vote, and Biff, I might have some materials that you can use to assist with that, templates and what have you, to make that job a little easier.
Great, okay, thank you. Myself, I'll vote in the affirmative. Mark Sindrome,
Yes.
Andrew Bernhardt,
Yes.
Ed Neumer,
Yes.
and Alan Markey.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, appears to us fast, and I'll be writing them soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we have a couple of demolition delay applications. They're both actually technically the same structure, but we do need to approach them, and approve each one separately. And for the record, Mark, did you want to just declare yourself
Accused,
Parks
and
and
not accused.
Parks and Central is going to recuse himself because he is the owner of one of these structures. So, Mr. Gary, you're
Thank
gonna
you.
be-
David Geary on behalf of Mark Sandron and Jennifer Day. We're here tonight. You all got the memo, but I'd like to just, I'll run through that with you, that, they're planning a small renovation addition to their home, which is 89 and 91 High in Newburyport. They're gonna be replacing a one-story rear mudroom and screen porch additions, two mudroom additions and screen porch with a one-story mudroom, screen porch, and sunroom, at slightly expand the footprint. And, as you will see, closely replicate, the structures that are being replaced, both with aesthetics and materials. The new additions, however, will be built on, solid foundations that, are solid frost wall or feet below grade, to support, the new structures and will be built, to code so that, they can enjoy those spaces for hopefully many years to come. The issue they have currently with the two appendages that are at the back of the buildings are that they're drafty, old, not tremendously well built, which I'll get into as we go into the next slide. So just a little background. This is the mind map of both properties, 89 and 91. This is a federal, you probably will recognize it on High Street. And the line basically goes right down the middle, so two half-house properties. So that's, the mind map has a little wrong, actually. The property line should go through, this was corrected when we had the survey done. That next slide shows 91. Again, that's a slightly different rectangle. But in terms of where we are in the city, that's High Street, going diagonally across the page, and State Street, coming in the opposite direction. So, the property, like most of those houses on that side of, State Street, the building sits quite high and up off the street. I could skip ahead to the neighborhood, photos, that's probably at the very end. But just to give a sense of that, it might be helpful. This is the top left photo is looking as if you were coming from the old mobile gas station, walking along the sidewalk toward the south end. The house is up to the right, so this is kind of the streetscape. Across from the street, you can see some of the other historic, homes on High. And to the right, the photo to the right is looking in the opposite direction on that same side of the street, back toward the Bartlett Mall. On the right is the Cushing House, which you all probably recognize. On the bottom left, we are across the street from 9189, looking toward that, and it's difficult to see on the photo, but behind those trees is the building, is the federal building. And then, last but not least, on the right, bottom, we can see kind of from the Cushing House side, looking back toward the gas station. The house is actually behind, there's a yellow house, you can see a white house, and the following house is 8991. And back to the mind map and then to the site plan. This gives a little better view. We could close in a little bit on the site and show you what we're talking about in terms of the two buildings that we're looking at replacing. So there's the main federal, which is on On the left, 89 sections are existing, and the hatched section to the right on 91 is a mudroom and a screen porch. And to the left, there's a hatched portion, which is a mudroom. The mudroom on the left is about 11.5 by 8 feet. On the right, the screen porch is about 11.5 wide by 7, 8, plus a screen porch, which is another 18 feet out toward the garden in the back. For anyone who was on the garden tour this past weekend, this house was on the garden tour. And there's a beautiful garden, which I'll get into in the back. You can see the proposed infill or addition is 3 feet more, taking the screen porch, redoing it, and pushing it about 3 feet back toward back on the property line. And between the two structures, they're proposing to fill that in with a new building. And you'll see that when we get into the architecturals. Very quickly, next slide, please. This is listed in the district data sheet, listed as a Federalist from 1810, the Moulton House, and there's a nice write-up on the Moulton House, which I'd be happy to go through if you haven't read it yet. The next slide, please. I'll just read very quickly. The historic names, the Joseph Moulton House, 1810, Federal, and architectural significance. It's an excellent example of a square house built along High Street during the early years of the 19th century. This house has a 3-story hipped roof form typical of the style. The Medallion cornice is exceptional, as is the entrance portico, which is original. Portico is supported by fluted Corinthian columns, and the door itself is flanked by painted Doric pilasters. The small square windows of the 3rd story are typical of the federal homes built by Newburyport's mercantile class. So obviously, one of the great federals here in Newburyport. None of our project touches neither the front nor the next 2-story piece. It's only the back where we're proposing to make some changes. Next slide, please. Next slide. Oh, very quickly from the 1924 map. It's hard to zoom, if you can zoom in on 8991 up toward the top right. You can see it's up there. We didn't tell you. Thank you. You can see, there you go. The house in 1924 had what appears to be, I think, 2 mudrooms. There's one to the left, which we see today. The other one, there's no screen porch at that. So that must have been added after 1924. But the two smaller 1-story mudrooms did exist at that time. From a standpoint of what we're proposing to remove, this is looking at the house top left side from the rear. We see the 1-story hipped roof structure that belongs to 89 on the right side. And on the left, we're seeing the very end of the screen porch. The drawing directly to the right of it is from the 89 side. And you're seeing that 1-story hipped roof again in the foreground. Behind it and beyond it is the screen porch. Down on the lower section, you're seeing from the 91 side, the screen porch. And as you can see, the clapboarded section slightly to the left is where the present mudroom is, which is also being replaced.
When were those additions built? Just out of curiosity.
I don't have a date on them, but certainly before 1924.
Okay.
They were in that 1924 map. Next slide, please. So the addition is what we're proposing to do actually is take some of the most valuable things that we like, the windows themselves, which are original, beautiful into that back addition and repurposed, reused them in the new addition. The door, even the door, for that, 89, mudroom will be reused. So, what they're hoping to achieve here is a house that, is an addition that is well insulated and well built. Windows obviously are a challenge these days. We're hoping to use, the ladies over in Amesbury, their expertise to get them to the point where they're best, they can be insulated.
Or the,
And
I'm
yet,
sorry, for the ladies.
the window women,
Oh, okay.
there's a pretty, a popular firm around here these days to help with restoration of old windows. And, I've used them before, and, so we have original windows coming off the house that are going back into the new addition in some new locations. So the triple window there in the middle, that you see is actually, the plan is to use the original windows. We have one from the basement, and we're taking two from the renovation that we're doing. And on the right side upper drawing, we're seeing basically the same form, the hip root form of the new structure with a proper foundation and proper insulation. And then the bottom drawing shows from the 91 side that mudroom and a new screen porch. A few of the features that are slightly different that we think are nice improvements on the screen porch. It's kind of a block wall that's seen better days, and we're going to be using a concrete foundation, but with a nice thin stone veneer and a couple of columns. Could you show do the next, please? So this is kind of a view from the rear. And showing the existing screen porch, which actually has gable on the 91 side. We propose a hip roof, look a little nicer, and some columns that are similar to this. You can't see it well, but on the 91 side, there's some Doric columns on plinths. That I think these will kind of be a nod to that. So it'll tie the screen porch in a little more nicely. I think it's just a little more elegant and will look nicer. So you might zoom in a little on this, on the sketch, just to show people can't quite see that, but essentially, we're just bumping out a little further with the screen porch. And we've got the kind of a replication almost of what was the original features to the 89 mudroom. And then some windows, the windows in the middle again, are the original 9/6 that were present in the old house where we used. There are some photos. I did skip the photo of the house itself, just to give you a quick tour of the outside. Thank you. I guess we'll start on the top right. That's looking at the house from the 89 side and from High Street. And the bottom right is on the 91 side, High Street. And then the middle, upper and lower are kind of middle, the back looking, trying to look toward the middle of the 89 side. And on the lower one, we're looking toward the broad side of the 91 side. And then the last two on the left are from 89 at the top and 91 at the bottom, both kind of showing how the property looks from the rear. With that, I think we're set.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up to the board first. Anyone have any comments, questions?
I was at the garden show this weekend. It's beautiful. Very beautiful. I think it's wonderful, the house.
Yeah, you go buy it. So what do? You park in that?
We have access on State Street.
Yeah.
It's lovely in the summertime and the spring and the fall, in the winter time, it gets to be a little different.
Yeah.
You have to invite us back over to.
So just the purpose of this is that we do love the garden. At some point again, we will become able to go upstairs and so on and so forth. So the purpose is really to give us an extra room where we might be able to live.
Yeah.
Where elevated and be able to see the.
So you live in both?
We live on 91 High Street side.
Yeah.
And my sister and brother-in-law live on the 89 district, so it's a very incestuous situation.
Any other comments, questions? I think we need to first vote on, if you do for both structures, vote on that is historically significant.
Sure. Yeah.
And, can I guess we'll need a motion for
Motion.
each.
Motion for historic significance. I said
Okay. So, yeah,
89 for both. I'll do that.
we'll just, give me a motion for one of them and then we'll.
Okay, motion for 89. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Glenn. Can I make a motion that the structure is historically significant and considered for preservation?
Sure, let's do that. Okay. All right, well, we'll start with you, Glenn.
Okay, well, I vote yes. Thank you.
And Biff Baus, that's me. I vote yes. Mark Syndrome. Oh, can I? Never mind.
Well, we had
Andrew Bernard,
yes.
thank you. Ed Norman
Yes.
and Alan Markey.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so with that, I believe we need to open up for public comment. Is that right? Or do we need?
To make a motion for both.
Yes.
No, we just did one.
Oh.
Okay, all right. Can we have another motion for 91 High Street?
A motion from 91 High Street
That is,
for historic significance and preservation.
okay, then so for 91 High Street, we're voting on if it's historically significant and considered for preservation. We'll start again with Glenn.
Yes on that, thank you.
All right, and I vote yes as well. Andrew,
Yes.
thank you. And Ed,
Yes.
not least, Alan.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right. So I guess now we can open up for any public comment regarding, I guess, either structure, the project itself. If there's anyone online, all right. If anyone would like to talk and their hands raised, we can mute it. Okay, Stephanie, you are unmuted. You can give your name and for the record.
Thank you. So I've noticed the audio is a little funky. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So I am a direct abutter to this property. And because of the audio problems, I just want to say up front that as a direct abutter, I don't have any problems at all with what the Cendrons want to do. As a historic preservationist, I don't have any problems with what the Cendrons want to do. So I hope you will lift or not apply the demo delay. I also want to thank you all for meeting in person. And ironically, I push for this and I'm not there. But I think it's important and I thank you for doing that.
Great, thank you. Right. I think that's it. Anyone in the room?
Hey, Biff, I wonder if you would allow me to ask Stephanie a question. Stephanie, you mentioned the audio being funky. I was thinking maybe it was just me. Did you have the problem with the audio cutting out at certain points as well?
Yes, I did.
Ah, okay. So maybe it's not just me then. Thanks. Sorry,
No,
Biff.
it wasn't just you.
Why, we were seeing, say about internet connection on this end was questionable or something. It's unstable. network or something, so it might have been on this end.
Okay, yeah, that's possible.
Well, if you didn't get COVID, wouldn't have been a problem. All right, so I guess we can move on to look at the plans. I guess we've already seen them. I guess we can look for any other comments unless someone would like to make a motion to approve the plans and the demo done.
I make a motion to approve it.
Well, I think, pardon the interruption, I think we first have to take a vote on whether it's preferably preserved. And then if we want to approve the plans, we can do that secondarily.
I make a motion that's preferably preserved for 89.
Yeah, I'll second that. It's historically significant and preferably preserved, yes.
And how about for now?
We vote first.
Gonna be one house, good. All right, we'll start with Glenn. Your vote.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Voting yes as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Andrew. And Ed,
Yes.
thank you, and Alan.
Yes.
Okay, so now we can a motion to approve. No, sorry, now we have to do 91.
I make a motion for it's historically significant, preferably preserved. Yes. I need a second.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. We have a second for that.
I'll second it.
So this is the motion on the other property,
Yes.
part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
all right, if you're gonna start with me again, then I'll go a yes on this as well.
All right, thank you. And I'm voting yes.
Yes.
True,
Yes.
voting yes. And I can't type them in fast enough, Ed, and then Alan, your vote.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, now. Now we can vote on the to approve or have a motion to approve the delay. And I guess we'll need that on each one, so. Make that motion.
I make a motion that we approve the plans 89 of the demo.
A second.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll start again with Glenn.
Oops.
Oh, and there won't be audio.
Sorry, I was muted
All right.
myself there. Yes,
Yeah.
motion, is this the motion to approve the plans?
Yes, for 89.
Yes. Yep, for 89, yeah, okay, I'm a yes on that.
And I'm also a yes.
I'm a yes.
Andrew is a yes.
Yes.
Ed is a yes. And Alan,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
And let's do this one more time, but
I make a motion to lift the demo delay and approve the plans on 91.
second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, one more time, Glenn, what do you say?
Yes.
Okay, I want someone about the trend here.
Yes.
Andrew, thank you.
Yes.
And Ed, thank you. And last but not least, Alan.
Yes.
All right, I think we've gone through all of the motions, so to speak, and the demo election lifted. Plans been approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Apologies for making it so that.
Yeah, I fell in, I'm sure.
We are twice as grateful that you.
Well, it still was better than going through, I guess, two full different plans, right? Right. That's true. All right, well, it looks like we're moving on to general business.
Yeah.
And hear from the Central Congregational Church at 14 Didcombe.
We have one address, maybe.
Do it. If you'd like to give your name and address for the record and proceed.
Yes, my name is Amanda Moore, I live at 10 North Atkinson Street in Newburyport, and I've been a member of Central Church, I think for 40-something years.
Hi, my name is Chris Nye. I'm the pastor of Central Congregational Church. I've been there since 2009. My apologies, other than Newbury, to Westminster.
And I first wanted to distribute this whole brochure in case you haven't seen it. The central picture is of Central Congregational Church. It's on the resiliency planning brochure put out by the city. And I thought that would be a good thing to focus on. It's the sun shining on that. So our congregation has voted in favor of having solar panels on our church. There are more than 200 churches in Massachusetts that have solar panels, many of them in historic districts or historic restrictions on them. Central Church does have a historic restriction on it, and that is why we're here before you.
Thank you.
So you see that packet that I sent in, and it's just explaining that we are eager to have our panels installed and to begin to contribute to the improving the climate of the country. We can. The picture that you see here is the southern exposure is at the bottom of the picture. The street going diagonally across the top of that picture is Pleasant Street. It's on the river side, the northern side. And the big white square in the lower right corner is the steeple. It doesn't look very tall, I think, but that is the steeple. The larger roof is a slate roof and it's on the sanctuary. That's the most visible roof that you can see from just about anywhere in the city as you look across the view. This proposal is for the solar panels to be installed on the newer part of the building. The gabled roof closest to Pleasant Street is we think it was built in 1909. That was the older part of the rear addition, and it's got the hip roof, the one that's in 3 pieces with the triangle. That was installed in 1910. The roof was re-roofed about a year and a half ago. And the panels that you see here are in the best possible location by chance and also for viewing. I don't think anybody can even see them. The roofs are very shallow. They don't protrude up very far. The panels would all be black and they would lay flush to the roofs, all of these roofs. There will be an optional, which we are choosing to do, snow guard that would be installed along the triangular piece, because there is a sidewalk that goes along the side of the building from Titcomb Street moving along, and that would prevent any snow sliding off of them, although probably wouldn't because it's not much of a slant. But the snow guard would be installed. These are some of the pictures of what you would not see probably. And this is the view from the Pleasant Street, a little bit further down the street from Changing Tides Coffee Shop, looking to the east. That's the rear corner. There would not be panels on that side, Pleasant Street side. And could we go back, please, Caitlin? Thank you. The second picture at the bottom there is the view looking west. Street, corner of Pleasant and Titcomb Streets. The panel would not be on that side. Next one, please. And the bottom picture there, number 4, is the view from the YWCA parking lot. The lot that many people think belongs to Central Church. As you face the sanctuary on that faces Titcomb Street, there's a parking lot to the left. It belongs to the YWCA. It is not the church's. We have a garden And then the additions bump out a little bit. Almost immediately at the YWCA property. This is the view where you cannot see the roof even. Next, please. This is a view.
I'm standing in front.
Yeah. They,
Behind the sanctuary, the building behind the sanctuary, as you saw, some on the building which is adjacent to the parking lot and sidewalk that goes to the Y, but most of them are on the roof of the building, which is, to the, well, if you're facing to the right of that building, not visible from the street.
from the Pleasant Street.
Just can't see it.
You
Right, you
can't-
can't, you can't see that, you can't see that roof surface.
The
What
same,
about under from the Y, you see it?
well, why,
No, I don't think so.
No.
It's,
it's above,
Okay.
and, they are, it's mostly the pool. Many windows on that side. And the Y owns, 3 properties adjacent to our. Actually, in this bottom picture, that white low building is the kitchen of the rooming house that YWCA has. It's not on the corner, it's family housing, it's the, housing for women, and then the next building up on Market Street is the swimming pool. The gym and there. So that picture on the bottom shows, the roof that it's moving, the south is to the right. This is the view from our parking lot. And again, the panels would be flush. Can't see the roof of the panel. Next, please. So this is just showing where the pictures were taken from. I don't know if the whole thing maybe could be made larger, a little fuzzy. But number 4 is the view standing closest, looking at the hip roof and the roofs that are. It's hard to take a picture of things that don't show. But that's what I was trying to demonstrate here, but, the pictures, there should have been another one showing, maybe a page got missed. Number 5 is standing, if you enter the Y parking lot at number 1, which is at the front of the church, and parking lots to the left, you can drive through the parking lot and it winds around behind the pool building, and then you can exit to Market Street. It's a link that most of the people walking utilize. And if you stand far away at number 5, you also can't see it. But I did include pictures in that. I don't know if there was a page missing or something, but.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, the windows there that you see on the left, on the white building, those are at the swimming pool area. And this is the driveway before it turns to go towards front. The company that we have chosen for installation is Smart Roof. And the president of the company is the person we've been working with. And he was unable to attend here tonight. I didn't know he could have chimed in on the hybrid. I thought just in person. But anyhow, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to attempt to address them. We're really making an effort to set a good example, to utilize our big roof space and make a difference.
This is gonna save you money.
Definitely, yes. It has, we anticipate working for us for 25 to 30 years.
Wow.
And the payback is a very short time. 6 years, 0.3, I think. And right now, nonprofits are now eligible through the Inflation Reduction Act to get 30% back.
How many panels are you actually installing? May have missed it.
I think it's 31.
And you mentioned that they're flush mounted.
Yes.
almost every installation I've seen is flush but raised slightly. Are these really fully like the same levels as the roof, or are they lifted a couple inches? Or-
Well, they have a thickness to them, so they are, yeah, there's some space between the roof and the panels. But they are not propped up, additionally from the way it was explained to us, is that the angle of the roof is appropriate to get
Right.
extra best.
So they're not tilted, so like the
Right.
one end of the installation is not taller than the other.
Right.
I know what you mean, if there's like brackets or something.
Yeah, generally it's got to be mounted.
Yes, it is mounted, right, right.
Other questions?
How long does it take them to do the job?
About 1 week,
Well,
and they said they could start, mid-August. And we've already had a member of the church inquire to speak to the same company about getting this. We're hoping that, it was a congregational vote, the decision to go ahead and confirm and carry on with the.
Yeah.
And it was a unanimous vote. No questions asked.
I've been in touch with John Ian and why, so that we can, coordinate, so we don't disrupt anything that they're going to be doing, during the construction period. And the support of this.
Okay.
Biff, Mr. Chair or Vice Chair, this is Glenn. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. A while back, I was invited to take a look at this. I believe it was with Ms. Moore to they were kind of asking about this and would they need to come before the commission and so forth. So we took a walk around a lot of those same spots where these photos were taken. And it's funny. I knew that solar panels were going to come up eventually, right? And I was sort of dreading it in a way, but this one, I'm glad that it's a relatively easy one, in my opinion, anyway, because what she said, what you've been hearing is quite true. When you really, it's very difficult to see the roof until you're way up that little narrow street behind the swimming pool of the Y, around like sort of to the lower left of this picture we're looking at now. You have to walk quite a ways up before you can even see the roof. So if the panels are even anywhere near flat, it's going to be very unobtrusive. So in my opinion, anyway, this would not be something that I think would well, that we could allow despite the preservation restriction.
Okay, thank you.
Although we should ask though about reversibility. I just thought of that. Did the contractor say anything about reversibility, either but for whatever reason, but let's say some years down the road when the panels are no longer functional or whatever, what can they be removed without damage to the structure?
We thought we'd try to get the panels first before we try to get them gone, but
well, obviously, yes. But I mean, it's going to happen eventually.
Oh, it will. You're right. You are correct. No, I just know that they're as soon as we say to go ahead, they'll have engineers coming in to look at the inside the attic and determine the structural stability that we have. And if it isn't structurally sound now, they will be reinforcing that. But no, we haven't, we didn't talk about that, but I assume that by the time we need them, there'll be a lot of panels that are being replaced, because they will have improved so much more, as they have every year since they were first brought to the consumer, I believe. But that's the question. We hadn't considered that.
Yeah, that is the probably the one thing, given the nature of the preservation restriction, that would be important to clarify and to get that particular question answered. I don't think it would be a problem, but it's something that's just something we should check into. Excuse me.
And just part of the reason why, we've been talking about solar panels for the whole 15 years that I've been the pastor at Central. Congregational churches, we don't do anything with haste, but with a lot of due diligence. But the reason that we're talking about it now is because the roof on that front, building, was replaced, about a year and a half ago. And so, it doesn't make sense to put solar panels on a roof that's gonna need to be replaced in 5 years, because you have to take the solar panels down and then reinstall them. So given that that's part of the history and the consideration, I am assuming that there's no issue with removing them in 20 or 30 years when they have exceeded we don't really know like what the actual lifespan is. We have manufacturer's projections, but part of the reason why we're doing this now is so that we wouldn't face that issue of having to take them down, because the roof needed to be repaired and replaced.
Yeah, and I do remember the discussion about the roof replacement. That was no problem. And I don't, like I said, I don't really expect the replacement to be an issue, but it's just something that we should be aware of.
Okay, we have no other comments. I guess what we need to do is, need a motion to approve the, plans, that would normally be subject to the preservation restriction. Exactly how to word that. With that motion, but
Motion that the plans presented to place the solar panels on the roof of the adjacent structure that is church be accepted.
great. All right, so we are voting to,
I'm sorry, did you call for my vote? Or where are we? Did we get a second? I got no audio here.
Karen, yeah, you're there. I'm both ahead of me. And Ed Neumer.
Affirmative.
Thank you. Alan Markey, can you hear us?
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, my audio just came back, by the way. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
in favor with the. I almost what I was going to try to say was just if when they get the inspection done to verify the structural, details and all that stuff, if there was an issue with potential damage to the roof in the event of replacement, whenever, that we'd like to hear about that. Because
Okay, thank you.
that's the issue.
Okay, thanks. And then I think I heard Alan's vote affirmative as well.
Yes, you did.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, it's approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very
Thank you.
Okay, next item is general business, letter from Bill Morgan. Most of us remember. We all had the time to at least take a look through his letter. Basically, the official register for National Register for Historic Places for the Superior Courthouse and the Bartlett Mall around it makes no mention to the importance of the landscape architecture of the property and the original landscape architect, which I would say is a pretty big part of its historical importance, and it's surprising that it was left out of those original documents. So his letter is basically making the point that we should make those changes to that. I don't believe we're voting on any of this right now. Right, so it really just, I guess, if we have any questions or any kind of discussion around it, we can do that now. And I thought about if anybody wanted to make a public comment, but if we're not making any votes, I'm not sure if that's necessarily appropriate, but sorry.
Yeah, if I'll share with you, I had a discussion with Joe about this, and just in terms of the process, might be helpful to review that. Apparently, There is there is a process for amending or making updates to these registration forms. Apparently, it's a little bit easier than getting the form in the first place, thankfully. But you know, it is a process that's going to take a while. So this is really just to kind of get the ball rolling. And I do see Mr. Morgan as an attendee, and he's got his hand up, so maybe he can explain a little bit more about you know, what the whole purpose is and all that. He probably better coming from him than me anyway.
All right, yeah, Joe, if you're able to talk, we've got you unmuted here.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Vice Chair. And good evening, members of the Commission. I think everything that was just said is totally correct. As far as procedure goes, what I'm really asking of the Commission is to help me to provide an endorsement of this. I'm thinking that it might go on Commission letterhead. And anyway, what I'd like to do is I'd like to start the process with the Mass Historical Commission. I'm in contact with Ben Haley, who says that he doesn't foresee it being a very complicated review process, since the nomination form, the historical place nomination form already exists since 1976. That's when it was originally improved. The only, so, hello?
We lost your audio. Joe? Joe,
yeah.
we lost your audio for a bit on our end. Could you back it up just a paragraph or so?
Sure.
We lost a little bit.
The audio's been cutting in and out all evening. But yes, so my conversation with Ben Haley, he assured me that it was going to be a fairly simple process. It was not going to be difficult because we're not nominating a new property. It already exists. We're augmenting the language that expands it from simply a historical structure, the courthouse, to include an historical landscape architecture. And that's, I think, pretty clear in my letter. I'd like to get that process going because Ben Haley says that then they will put it on the required amendment forms and walk it through the National Park Service.
Okay, so are you looking for us to write a letter to the Mass Historical Commission in support of this?
I think that might be good. I think that would be very good. I can use the letter that I've used and forward it to Ben, but if I had a cover letter for it, that would be very helpful, yes.
Hey, Biff, this is Glenn. I'll be happy to volunteer since I've got, you know, letterhead templates and all that stuff to work with Joe on a very simple, short and sweet letters with the approval of the commission, of course, that we're in favor of this augmentation and, you know, to just like you says, get that ball rolling.
Okay, thanks. I think Caitlin had something to say.
Yep, I did want to bring up to the commission that there's been a request to continue discussion of this to the last meeting in July.
Okay.
From members and staff in the mayor's office, because they have edits to offer.
Okay.
So suggesting and requested to continue this to the last meeting in July.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did hear about that. What I was thinking is maybe what we could do is word the motion so that you know, to get the process started, but leave it, you know, like I said, this is going to take a while for this whole thing to wind through the process. To leave it open for potential edits if they have edits that are deemed, you know, necessary, and if for some reason it's hard for me to know exactly what they are because
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. Yeah, well, especially since we already, I guess, technically have some, so. Yeah, we'd like to.
Yes, my name is Andrea Iverman. I'm the president of the Port Parks Alliance. We're a new nonprofit. We've been around for about a year and a half. And all of our founding documents are we're guided by the Parks Commission. So many of you may or may not know that the Bartlett Mall is, there's a restoration plan underway. I should not say underway, it's been worked on for some time, but there's a funding gap of about $1 million to $1.5 million. So a team of us are working to try to help fill that gap. Speaking just for myself, not for others, not for the Port Parks Alliance or for the city, I have a slight concern with some of the language here because it talks about the beach around the Frog Pond. And the proposal right now in the restoration is to put in granite curbing with gaps in it for turtles and for skaters. I did have a chance to look back at the historical records, and Charles Elliott proposed the beach because there was no way to control the water levels of Frog Pond. It doesn't, it wasn't drained at that time. And I'm sure you've all noticed that after a heavy rainfall or when the snow melts, the pond is goes over that beach. And during the summer, if there's not any rain, it goes far below the bank. But with this restoration effort of the Frog Pond, one of the benefits we think there is that the water level would remain constant. And in one of the historical letters I have from Charles Elliott, it talks about the fact that that would be an option you'd like to have that doesn't work here. So I wouldn't want to preclude by putting in specific language about the beach, this option of doing a granite. I should also note that I think all of you know Charlie Griffin. He wanted to be here tonight, but he's in Greece. So he would love to comment if possible, and that was part of our request for a hearing at a later.
Thank you. When it started to almost voice a sort of motion there, but it sounds like we need to carry this over to our next meeting. So I don't know, do we need a motion to do that? With the next meeting?
A motion to continue it? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, we could do that. The thing that yeah, I mean, I think that what he envisioned and designed, was the way the Frog Pond has been as long as not only our memories but many generations, has had that sort of sand and gravel. I mean, it's not a beach like a ocean beach. It's just a sand and gravel path, really. But
Doesn't sound like a motion, Glenn. This doesn't sound like a motion, Glenn.
No, this isn't a motion, and I'm just thinking through this. I would assume that the historical, registration thing would have to do with the kind of like with the preservation restriction. You document the existing conditions, and which are what they are. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't change anything, but of course that would have to be reviewed, and it would have to be reviewed anyway. But I don't know. I'm a little confused as to. I think I'm not sure I understand why that term is so abhorrent to the parks people. Looks like
May
Joe
I
raised
say
his
something
hand.
else? This is Joe Morgan. May I speak again?
Sure.
Well, I would propose that we let Mass Historical help us on this also. They may have some language that they would like to get revised too. But the point I'm trying to make is that this is historical record. We really can't censor it. It is what it is, and I would like to go ahead and get it to the Historical Commission and get their comments back. I mean, we're going to be able to talk about this again. We're not trying to silence any interested party's voice here, but this is this is in the historical record, so I don't know why it would be controversial. And anybody who's interested in the preservation, the historical preservation of the Bartlett Mile, would be interested in getting this into the nomination form for the historical place designation.
All right, thank you. I think, just in interest of moving this along, we're gonna meet again about this.
Yeah.
And we can discuss all this stuff, I think, in a more, full context at that point. So, unless we need a motion, and,
Can we just table the issue?
Yeah.
Yeah. all right. All right, so that, we will move that to our, what meeting,
Most likely,
July?
most likely the last meeting in July.
Okay. All right, well, did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes? Like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second, okay, great. All right, we're gonna motion to approve the minutes. What date was that from? May 23rd, thank you. Glenn, we'll start with you. Approval of the minutes. Yes,
Yes, on that.
thank you. Yes as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll abstain because I was absent.
Okay. And yes, Ed, yes. And Al.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
By the way, is Mark St. John in the room there with you guys?
Yeah.
And but he's on the Zoom thing as well as a panelist. Is that
Yes.
Yeah, that's weird. Maybe
It's just so
he's
you can follow along on the Zoom call.
okay.
Oh, it's both, yeah.
Yeah.
Sammy Dexter's
Really.
All right,
trying to fake you out, but you don't know what he's gonna do next.
I see you report back there. All right.
Just make a quick.
There is what
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say there is one brief update from the chair here, and that's the last meeting I commented about the efforts underway to try to save was it number 5 Spofford Street, the older house there.
Yeah.
That appears to have fallen through. The impression I got was that the developer was thinking that if he offered to save that one house, that he could somehow, that would enable him to lift a demo delay on all the properties, which we explained like was a legal impossibility. And so I didn't realize that. I thought that he was willing to lift the demo delay for that one house and restore it and just build something on the back and so on. But apparently he's either changed his mind or decided it wasn't worth it or whatever. So that seems to have gone nowhere.
I would still like to find out more about the Dunkin' Donuts thing. I know it's silly. I know it's silly, but I do think it's it could potentially put historical significance on the buildings that are not 75 years old.
It's not just a Jelly donut, I heard it's the teeth from the foil when you rip the tin foil.
Yeah, that too.
But you're a Jelly donut guy, but tin foil, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Jelly either, but well, if there are no other comments.
I actually have another comment.
Oh, okay.
I'm just wondering, I mean, we vote on historic significance, and it seems that we're getting to the point now where if it's 75 years old, it's historically significant. So when someone comes in, they're not prepared to move forward. And I'm just wondering if it's proper for us, people that are applying to lift the demo delay, if they know the rules right off at 75 years old, they're gonna have to go through the motions of showing us the intention of what they plan to do. In the past, they were hoping that historic significance would eliminate that totally, and I think we're automatically saying now if it's over 75 years old, it's historic significance, unless I'm not reading this wrong.
Well, the wording of what the laws are basically that if it meets any of the list of requirements, that's historically significant, right? So if it's 75 years, that's one of them. And then if there's social or political or
Right.
person or whatever, that's also automatically,
But
I think
in
that's the reading of it.
But in the past, I understand, but in the past, we had voted on saying something's not historically significant if the structure is a total mess.
Hey, sorry if I may, just,
Please.
just recognize that the ordinance is triggering things that are required legally to come to you for review. That's different from the process you then take at that point to decide whether or not, once it's before you, it's what to do with it from there, meaning is it properly preserved. So,
Right.
just make sure to do what the ordinance is automatically triggered by itself, and then the process you have to decide how to handle it. Or preserve, releasing it, approving a plan.
But it's for the historical significance alone factor.
There are automatic triggers in the ordinance, and again, to sort of add in new things, just consider the fact that if something is not. The ordinance is a trigger requirement. For instance, a structure we might think has, something, but there's no trigger in the ordinance, there's no, reference. That's problem. So, it's there. If there's a speculation that something is historic, and there's a desire to have it listed in some way or captured in some way, we just need to recognize that the ordinance doesn't already grab that strike. That's the way we can change the ordinance to for you, where I just wanted to distinguish from the ordinance triggering something automatically is mentioned this guy. But that may not capture it, and we think is historic.
Right, so don't, when we vote if it's historically significant, we shouldn't even have to vote for it.
Well, I guess that's the way that I remember it, is an automatic trigger for it to be brought to you.
Okay.
Right, and then you are making your usual review and determination from there. The ordinance is basically making sure that the zoning administrator and the building commissioner are automatically recognizing that all those need to come to you before you get happy with them essentially.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that you can't yourself in that process. You make a determination of your own that what's for you to.
Okay.
Say something. I don't know if I wanted to, walk and just. Let's see. Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, okay. I'm talking about it to 12 o'clock.
We have a motion to adjourn and seconded, so yes, yeah. Yes. Okay. Vote yes.
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
All right. All right, well, then, the motion is passed, we adjourn. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Biff, for leading the meeting.